Hello, welcome back to the Beast Texas Breakdown Podcast. You already know who we're going to have on. It's Dan again. It's basically the Jimmie and Dan podcast at this point. Yeah, That's much. Like, what, 3 weeks in a row?
I think so, yeah.
We've never even had 3 podcasts in a row.
Yeah.
3 weeks of podcasting in a row.
All right.
We're hitting milestones here at CBS 19.
In the right direction, man.
Well, it's been an emotional week of sports.
Yeah.
Definitely on the basketball side of things. But first of all, good emotions today. Check this out. That's Martin's Mill. They had their celebration today. A little parade action was going on down there. I guess up there. Where is Martin's Mill east?
I don't,
It's west.
It's an excellent question.
I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
By the mill,
They can
probably.
look it up.
It's probably a mill.
If you're
out
watching
there.
this, you have internet access. You can look it up. It's fine.
That is very, very, very true. Well, on the other side of that, it's been a depressing week, specifically yesterday with Luka's return to the Mavericks. And, that was such an interesting game to me because we knew that there was going to be high emotions. We knew there was going to be a lot of sadness. But I don't know if I was expecting so much anger. See, when I was watching the game, and personally I felt it as well, there was hatred, anger in that game. And the funny part is none of it was directed to Luka because typically when a player moves on from a team, people are a little more have some animosity towards that player, but in the way Luka left, it wasn't his fault, right?
He didn't leave. He was shown the door.
Exactly. Shown the door is actually the right word, and we saw the way they reacted, and we saw the way Luka reacted. Check out how Luka reacted here. This is Trae Young's post after that emotional opening video that Luka had to watch. Look, you see the tears in his eyes. Yeah. He actually went on to destroy the Mavericks. It was 45 points throughout that entire game. Heck of a showing for Luka. Did you see Mark Cuban's reaction?
I saw him reacting to the Fire and Eco chants, and he just looks distraught. He just looks like.
I think that's a good word for everybody in that whole arena that was kind of feeling that. I don't know exactly what the 7 stages of grief are, but we went through at least a few of them yesterday. There's the disbelief one. We all went through that one. We're all just like, what? There's no way. Yeah. And then we slowly start to realize it. But yesterday we got through the anger part, and then afterwards it was that sadness that we kind of all felt empty a little bit, feeling like, oh, well, we have to wait till next season to see this guy again. Unless the Mavericks have a crazy playoff run. They just made the play-in game. Maybe they get hot. Maybe we see Luka versus Mavericks in the playoffs. Dan, what are the chances that happens?
Oh, boy. I mean, obviously I would have to look at the whole bracketing and the seeding and such, but I mean, it's kind of hard to see. I mean, the Mavs could win the play-in, sure, but it's kind of hard to see them going a lot further than that just because, obviously, we're talking about Luka's gone, Kyrie is gone, he's injured. And they've been good with AD for the most part. Obviously, they got killed last night. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess that would kind of be an early matchup, so maybe it's possible. That would be an emotionally charged series.
It would be an emotionally charged series. Actually, this is an interesting picture here. In the back there is Max Christie, who was
in the future.
Yes, who was in that trade with Luka. Him and Anthony Davis combined for less points than Luka put up alone. I think they might have combined for less points than Luka put up alone in the first half.
I was going to say.
Just a crazy lopsided trade. Even just looking back on it, Jason Kidd mentioned in the post-game press conference that some people were comparing it to the Babe Ruth trade. Well, that was kind of cool. What do you mean that was kind of cool? The Babe Ruth trade was terrible for the Red Sox. It was considered the greatest player in all of baseball, and you got rid of him, and it cursed the team for 86 years. We seem to have forgotten the Red Sox had a curse, the curse of the Bambino. 86 years with no championship trophy. Yeah. Is that the cool you want to put out there, Jason? Tough look for the Mavericks last night, all around.
Yeah, it was one of the most. Just, I don't know. It was so different. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, obviously, like we said, usually a player comes back and it's anger. Like on ESPN before the game, they were talking about like, oh, when LeBron came back to Cleveland for the first time, when Kevin Durant came back to the Thunder for the first time. Like those were so different. And they just got killed when they came back. But I mean, and I talked about it on the show last night, but there was one possession in the first quarter I remember when Luka scored on one end, crowd went crazy, and then on the other end, like seconds later, Anthony Davis had a transition dunk, and it was a noticeable difference in their reaction. Like, you know, the fans cheered for, you know, the Mavericks scoring, obviously, but I've never seen where just every fan in the building was just like, please, Luka, just give it to us.
Yeah.
Please, we want it.
And it's such a sad thing, too, for Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And we talk about this trade all the time, but we don't ever talk about how terrible this is for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis could go out there and have an MVP caliber rest of the year. No one's going to care. No one's going to care. They're always going to cheer more for Luka. Anthony Davis could just phone this season in, you know, come back next season. You know, he's been injured. Why not just take a break? But no, he's going out there. He's being productive. To say he's not being productive, it would be lying. He's still doing his thing. There's just no winning for him. And no matter how much he brings the city of Dallas will never bring the same amount of love that they brought for Luka to AD.
It's tough. It's, you know, homegrown guys are always more beloved. Like, all I can ever compare anything to is the New York Yankees. So, like, you know, Aaron Judge he's gotten booed in New York. It happened. Like, New York's
There's a time I remember he was striking out a lot.
New York's a crazy place, but you know, like Giancarlo Stanton got booed, like in his second game, or I think literally his first, because you know, 2018.
We had like 3 strikeouts in a row, something like that.
Yeah, they started on the road, and he was great on the road against Toronto. He hit 2 home runs on opening day, and then the Yankees came back and played their first game at home. I think he struck out like 4, maybe 5 times, and immediately first game at the stadium got booed. And it's just like, this would never, again, it has happened, but like this would never happen for an Aaron Judge, who's somebody who came up through the system. Obviously, it's different in the NBA. I mean, the Mavericks didn't even draft Luka, but they basically did. It's just different. It's just a different kind of love.
If you're Nico Harrison, are you showing up to that game? Are you having okay, forget showing up. You're there. Are you showing your face at that game?
I'm hiding. I'm in like some owner's suite type thing where like the cameras have to get in a real specific area to find me. Like I'll be there, because if you're not there, obviously it's a big story. So I'm there, but I'm hiding.
I think I'm there. I respect him for showing his face. He's standing by it. I don't like that he was all tucked in the corner. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's, you know.
It is, I guess, it's a hostile environment for him. But you know, I get you have to be there. Nobody wants to see you there. No. Sorry, Nico.
Yeah. And all I could think, not all I could think about. There's a lot of stuff to think about from last night, but just the entire arena, fire Nico. And I think back to, you know, when the trade was initially made and they like kicked a guy out for having like a fire Nico sign or for chanting fire Nico or something. And I was just thinking to myself, like, well,
they can't get all of them.
You can't kick out everybody. And it was everybody. It was crazy.
Yeah, last night I think it was just like everything fans had bottled up for weeks now since that trade happened got to explode all over the court, you know, just raw emotion everywhere. It was kind of beautiful to see, really. You know, hearing it through the TV. People are coming together to hate one guy who you're supposed to love. Yeah. You know, can you name another GM in the NBA?
Rob Pelinka. That's the only one.
Yeah, but it's tough. It's tough. There's just
not
many.
The Lakers.
How many? The Lakers GM, right. Because you know he's going out and making these trades. You know, you're not supposed to be tight with the GM as a fan. You know, you're not supposed to know them like that. You know, it's supposed to, you know, to the casual fan, you don't know the GM of your team, and if you do, it's probably not for a good reason. You know what I mean? It's what we saw last night. You know, Dallas still has a lot of healing to do. Clearly. Yeah. I don't know.
They're not at the acceptance phase of the 7 stages.
No, and Luka, interestingly, seemed like he was there.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean,
he was upset. In post-game, he was like, you know what, it's time to move on. But we'll see. You know, he could just be saying that. Sometimes you say that. But he's urging fans to get there. And I think maybe somewhere down the line, deep down the line, the fans will get there too, but I wouldn't hold my breath on it. Dallas holds grudges. Make sure you check that video out in our channel as well. We made something about that. Somehow that doesn't count for it, but this takes us into our
What Are We Doing?
What Are We Doing moment of the week. Dan, otherwise in the big time news in the NBA. Michael Malone of the Denver Nuggets was fired the other day after a tough skid from the Nuggets. They lost 5 in a row, but it was a different kind of losing 5 games in a row where the team just looked defeated. There was just not a whole lot of give on defense, and Nikola Jokic was really upset about it. Russell Westbrook looked basically out of it in interviews where he was just kind of shrugging off questions. He was like, just losing sucks. And then this comes out, and also the GM for the Nuggets got fired. Dan, 3 games left in the season when this happened. What were some of your initial reactions?
I mean, I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they were on a skid, like I guess, I mean, there's ebbs and flows throughout every season for every team of all time, except like the 73-9 Warriors and the 72-10 Bulls maybe, but no, I couldn't believe it. I mean, they won it all 2 years ago, and
he's the winningest coach in Nuggets history.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that beforehand, obviously, but once they started saying that, I kind of thought about it. I was like, well, makes sense.
When have the Nuggets won this much?
Right.
Nobody's ever taken the Nuggets to a championship outside of this guy, and you fired him. And you know what? There was discussions, how good was the team doing? Was the team bought in? I'm trusting the coach that took me there, I'm trusting the coach that got me to where I needed to be. I just don't understand why they put it on him unless there was some inside knowledge that it was going to happen from the fans, unless there was some inside knowledge that that the players just weren't messing with Malone like that anymore. And from what I understand, it sounded like Malone had some issues internally with some of the front office people. Sounds like the GM wasn't giving him the players that he wanted. They have that core, that Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, but there's that that 5th guy that kind of was always a wild card. They had some few pieces there when they won it in 2022, but they just weren't able to reload that position. That guy that can go there and be a role player, pick up some points when they needed it, or maybe even have a lockdown defense guy. They tried to find something in Russell Westbrook, but how many teams has Russell Westbrook killed?
If you want to lock up defender, you're not usually looking in Russ's way.
And they had a lot of experimental players that came in, and young guys that just didn't work out with the squad, didn't mesh well. But yesterday, the Nuggets played again, and they picked up their first win in 5 games. And Jokic basically took control of the whole team. What I think is interesting is where do you feel like a team is mentally after a coach like that leaves? You're the guy you've been with. I mean, Jokic, that's the only coach that Jokic has ever known, for the Nuggets. Jokic got out there and he basically grabbed the clipboard and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. What do you think are going through those players' minds?
I don't know. I mean, I saw some quotes from him today, and obviously we're a few days past the firing at this point, but he didn't, talking about it, he wasn't all that upset. He didn't seem all that upset about it. Obviously it's just me trying to read what he said from an Instagram video, but he kind of mentioned that we had this, front office kind of let me know before it went public and before everybody else knew about it, and he just, he didn't seem all that torn up about it. I mean, which surprised me because, like you said, he's the only guy he's ever played for. He won a championship with him. You would think that they would have some kind of strong rapport. You never really heard about any sort of drama up until recently where one of the things I heard was, he was calling out guys for not watching film. It's like, I feel like a coach should do that.
That's what coaches do.
You're right.
Yeah, that's what coaches do. Especially Malone. And if you watch the press conference, I was in Denver for a while, so I've gotten kind of the feel of Malone. He's a hard coach, and he's going to get on you, and he's going to talk his talk. We saw that multiple times, especially when the Lakers came to town and they beat up on the Lakers. We saw them talk their talk.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating if you're a Nuggets fan because it's tough to blame the coach when you know that the team can still win, Mm-hmm. It's tough to blame the coach for something the GM didn't do, And if it's something the owner wants, owners should stay out of things, in my
Yeah,
opinion. Let the
yeah.
GMs do their job.
Sign the checks and move on.
Sign the checks, move on, listen to your fans, get out of the way of the GM and the guys who really know what's going on. And there were some issues on that on the Mavericks end too, when the whole Luka trade.
Yeah,
But it's tough to see that Malone got the short end of this stick. On the other end, it sounded like the Nuggets were ready to move into another direction pretty soon on. And one of my favorite takes that I heard from this actually came from someone that has nothing to do with sports. Over in 9 News up in Denver, there was Kyle Clark. Kyle Clark is like a regular anchor, political guy. He has his own show on their newscast. And he had a really good, interesting point on this. I'm going to play this for you right now.
There is a coldness in the Nuggets firing the winningest coach in their history, the only coach to bring him an NBA title, tossing Michael Malone out with 3 games left in what still could be a playoff season. But there is also a lesson there about not prolonging the inevitable, even at the end of a meaningful relationship. Nuggets ownership said today that they were going to change leadership in the offseason. You could understand fans saying, well, then why not give Coach Malone the chance to make one more playoff run with the guys, see if they can salvage the season? Ownership says the change is about seeing if they can create some kind of a spark. Unsaid, perhaps, is that there was actually a greater danger. And that danger was that Coach Malone and the Nuggets would have fixed their issues in the playoffs, that they would have made a decent run short of a championship, that they would have made the already decided departure even more painful in the offseason. Face it, outside of sports, a lot of us have been there, right? In a job or in a personal relationship where staying longer for old time's sake, for just one more chance, is not the healthy choice. It's just prolonging the inevitable. Fresh starts are not easy. But now the Nuggets have one.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
There's a life lesson in there.
There's
a life, kind of a deep. We're getting deep here on the Beast Texas Breakdown podcast. But I guess I can kind of understand that. Maybe they can find some spark, and maybe they really did just want to move on. Now they have kind of an interesting position with the GM position and the head coaching position open. You can kind of get a twofer. If you want a coach that can come in here and be a GM, also a coach. I haven't seen too much on the rumor mill, but I did see Dan Hurley's name tossed into that ring a little bit. So that would be interesting. He was in the mix for the Lakers job just this last offseason. We'll see if he kind of starts going down that path. He decided to stay in the college level. Had a lot of success, obviously back-to-back NCAA championships this year. Just didn't have the same team. But that could be an interesting name to toss in there as well.
That would be interesting. I mean, he turned down more money to go out to LA. Well, yeah, he would have been paid more money in LA. Turned that down to stay at UConn. So I don't know. That would be interesting. That would certainly be interesting.
Yes.
It would certainly be a storyline.
I'd be down with that. I think that's a good pickup for him. I also heard some maybe a Timberwolves assistant out there in Minnesota.
I guess, but kind of at the same time, if the problem with Mike Malone was that he was too hard on the players, like Dan Hurley is hard on the players.
Yeah. It's hard on the players. It's not abiding by maybe ownership's wishes. Sounds like some of the rumors that ownership wanted the younger guys to play. Michael Malone was pretty stuck with his system, didn't want to move on. But rumors are rumors. It's tough to know outside of what's going on if we're not there. And we could speculate our butts off, but in the end, it's not going to change the fact he's gone. He's gone. He is gone. Gone. Just like our next one on What Are We Doing? Why is the World Series banner gone in the Texas Rangers Stadium? This is ridiculous. The Rangers...
I didn't see that.
It's been so long since the Rangers won the World Series. You finally get to the top.
Wasn't it their first time?
Yeah, first time ever.
Yeah.
After heartbreak in the World Series. So long of seasons where the Rangers just were terrible. You finally get your banner. And yes, the banner sucked. It was an ugly banner. Look at this banner. Ugly banner. Kind of boring. Why is it sideways? Banners are supposed to be vertical, but now you take it down. I didn't want you to take it down. Maybe a redesign would be nice. What they ended up doing was putting putting it up there in the rafters where it looks like every single other playoff run that they had.
That's so strange.
Ridiculous.
That's really weird. Yeah, I know. I mean, maybe they made it horizontal so that, because they only got the one, they're trying to just take up more space. That's crazy, though. No, I hadn't seen that. I can't believe that. I mean, I feel like they got to have something cooking in terms of a replacement because that's just crazy.
They better.
It's
disrespectful, honestly,
must.
to me. It's a little disrespectful. The team won 2 years ago. It was like, this is a recent thing. This isn't like, it was down the line. Maybe it was in the 40s or something. You just want to toss it up there. It's not like the Yankees where we have an excess of World Series.
Ours just lined the stadium.
Yeah, no kidding. There's
just of the stadium.
Yeah, enough for every row. Oh, well, what section are you? Oh, I'm in 1963 or whatever they basically won everything in the 60s, right? But the Rangers fans have been through so much. They deserve to see this trophy or this banner for a long time. You should put that trophy out in center field. It should have a whole pedestal with 60 lights shining on it and one for every flag, for every pennant, so it shines in a different direction. You shouldn't be putting it away. This thing should be out for display, hanging from, you should have one banner for every rafter. We finally did it. And it should say, we finally did it. I'm sick and tired of the Rangers fans putting up with this. I would go up there and hang one myself. I'll go make a banner.
I'm just in shock. I hadn't seen that, and I'm truly in shock. Like, why would they do? Which is why I think there has to be a replacement coming. Because why would you do that?
I'd hope so.
Why would you do that?
At least a redesign, dude. At least a redesign.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm that would be my hope. If people really did think it was ugly, maybe they're like, okay, we'll redesign it and put it back up, not just like, all right, we'll get rid of it then.
Yeah. And at least the Rangers are playing pretty dang good right now.
Yeah.
First place in the American League West. They're hot right now, and it's good to see that maybe that core is still effective. That 2023 wasn't a fluke. And no, it's early, and baseball's such a grind of a season. But the weird thing is, the Rangers are doing it in kind of an odd way. The run differential is terrible. The Rangers do not score as many runs as some of the other teams that are leading the American League. It kind of always feels that way. The Rangers are always lagging behind in terms of runs, even when they're winning. I remember back in 2016 in the wild card days, they're always a little behind. They would leave the AL West with guys like Rougned Odor. Elvis Andrus was still on that team. And they would win, but they wouldn't win by a lot. Pitching would come in and kind of bail them out. But you get to the playoffs, and you just can't do that. You can't ride by the skin of your teeth like that. And they eventually got them in trouble quite a few times when the bats just die. You can't have your bats die. It's not something Yankees obviously have to deal with very often.
No, I mean it's what Yankee fans have been crying about, myself included, since 2009. Like it seems, not every single time probably, but it seems like more often than not coming into the playoffs, the thing with the Yankees is, well, they're going to hit, but do they have enough pitching? And then they end up pitching pretty well, and the offense just doesn't do anything. It's like, well, what happened?
Now you guys have bats to take care of that. Yeah. I had an interesting thought the other day. I was making something, and Alex Rodriguez popped up on my page. How do Yankees fans feel towards A-Rod?
Yeah.
Do they like this guy?
Super divided. Pre-2009, pretty much universally hated.
Really?
Yeah. He won the MVP in 05 and 07, so obviously they traded for him in 04. So he won, 2 MVPs within his first 4 years on the team, but still universally hated. But then in 2009, he went nutso. That entire postseason run, he had 2 game tying, 9th inning or later home runs in the DS. He went, deep multiple times in the CS. He hit the first ever World Series home run that required a replay review in the World Series. He had a, go ahead double down the line one game. He went great. The Yankees unequivocally do not win the World Series in 2009 without him, which is why a lot of fans kind of came back on his side.
So why didn't they not like him before that?
Mostly the cheating.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was
Yeah.
getting at. I was like, oh, check my notes real quick.
Mostly
Yeah,
the
didn't this
cheating
guy
and the steroids.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that were doing that. People that don't talk about a lot that did steroids. Nelson Cruz. Nelson Cruz was off the juice. I love Nelson Cruz. I also hate Nelson Cruz for what happened in Game 6.
that catch.
Missing that dang catch.
Yeah.
But he did steroids, and people forget about that a lot. I think it was when he was in Baltimore. He was in Baltimore briefly.
Yeah.
But he was off the juice a little bit. There was a whole scandal that happened there in a minute. Didn't A-Rod get busted again?
Yeah,
He got busted twice, right?
A-Rod, yeah. He got suspended for an entire season. He missed all of 2014 and like a good portion of 2013. I think he got banned for like 211 games. And that was the most ever at the time. But now there's like a pitcher from the Mets who's been banned for life. I don't remember.
Yes, I remember him. Yeah, he got out of the game for life. Yeah. How do you mess up 3 times? Just stop doing it, bro.
But like talking about the steroid thing, like people have a very selective memory when it comes to steroids. Like like
David Ortiz. Yeah, David Ortiz was busted.
Reports.
Yeah,
he's in the Hall of Fame. Like,
is A-Rod getting in the Hall of Fame?
I mean, I don't think he can before Barry Bonds does. Like,
No. If you're gonna let him in, you gotta let Bonds
right.
in.
But Bonds is off the ballot now. He's passed his 10 years on the ballot.
Where did you stand on that? Did you say let him in?
It's funny. When I was a sophomore in high school, I wrote an entire essay for like my English class about why if you like ever touch steroids, you should not be enshrolled in the Hall of Fame. Like, heck no, absolutely not. But I kind of came around on it a little bit. You just look at the numbers, especially for not if you were like a fringe guy, like a Gary Sheffield or something who like hit 500 home runs, but like he was on the juice. But like,
yes, had a sweet batting stance
for sure. But like Barry Bonds, I don't love that he just trashed the record book and made it his own while cheating. I don't really like that. But like, you look at his numbers. Like, bro was putting up like a 1,400 OPS for like 5 years in a row from like 99 to 04, like around just, unreal numbers. Like, getting intentionally walked like 100+ times a year. Like, he would see, the thing that players from that time will say is like he would see one pitch a game to hit. And he would hit it out. He was unbelievably, like, he was an unbelievable hitter. And he was, same thing with A-Rod. He was an unbelievable player before he was on the juice. And then he got on the juice and he got a whole lot better.
He became unbelievable.
So it's like, well, some people are like, well, he would have been a Hall of Famer without it. And it's like, well, he didn't go without it.
Well, that's the thing. That's just not reality.
Like, he played until he was, he was the best player in the league until like his second to last year because he was on the juice. Like, he didn't age like a normal human being would.
Did you ever play MLB The Show 16?
I don't think I went that far back.
Yeah. MLB The Show 16 had this guy you could unlock when you're playing online. You had to go grind it out. I never actually got it. There was a game mode where you could get it and play with him. But it's Barry Bonds. It's essentially Barry Bonds.
I think I've seen this.
Cracked out stats.
But it's like he has like a different name.
He has a different name. Yeah, something weird.
They don't have the rights.
But I was like on the fence about it, and then I played as him. I was like, oh, dude, this should not be allowed. This is ridiculous. Doesn't matter who was pitching. You're roping one out wherever. It does not matter your ballpark. You could play at the Polo Grounds. Those who play with the show know it's the Polo Grounds. You're not hitting one out dead center, but you're getting pretty freaking close with Barry Bonds. Yeah. It's something that probably should keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds, great player. Put his bat in the Hall or something.
But again,
Black doesn't deserve it.
Big Papi's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
he was on like. We know.
We know. It was a little disputed. It was a little more disputed.
But he was beloved by the media.
He was.
And he won
the Boston Strong thing.
And he helped end the Red Sox curse and the Boston Strong thing.
Do you give him that? Because there are people in the Hall of Fame that are in not necessarily because they're great baseball players, more for what they do for baseball. Big Papi.
Shout out Bill Mazeroski.
Yes.
He's pretty much in the Hall of Fame because he walked off the Yankees in the World Series.
Yes. Big Papi's in there for also representing the whole city of Boston for about a decade and a half.
Yeah, he's also like statistically maybe the greatest designated hitter of all time. It's like him and Edgar Martinez are like.
Isn't it so crazy? You have to be so good to get into the Hall of Fame for being a designated hitter.
I mean,
you're
it's pretty much just them two.
just not playing half the game.
Yeah, that's why.
You know?
That's why it took Edgar Martinez. He didn't get in. I don't know what year he got in, but it took him a long time, like one of his last couple years of eligibility. But like, you look at the numbers and like, bro was probably a Hall of Famer, but the people held that against him for years. But now I don't think that's going to be as much of an issue going forward. Now that the DH is universal.
DH is universal. I was a little against that first. I liked
so for that.
I liked the fact that there was 2 different leagues and they, had 2 different rules.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I thought that was dumb. Like, are we playing the same sport? What are we doing? Like, and then the fans holding on to like, oh, but this pitcher's so good at hitting. He hits 180.
But he might hit a double one day.
Yeah, like
you're gonna take away Colon. You're gonna take away Bartolo Colon's home run. Yeah, Bartolo Colon's home run should have gotten him into the Hall of Fame.
Well, that's another steroid guy. So.
Oh yeah, he did do steroids for a while. I forgot Bartolo Colon did steroids for a long time, actually. Yeah, I mean he played forever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was on the Montreal Expos.
Yeah.
That's such a weird.
He had a cameo appearance on I think like the 2011 Yanks. He was great for the Yanks that
Yeah,
year. He was probably on the juice, but he was great.
Who did he not play for?
Yeah, no.
He played for everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's double digits. I think he played for double digits teams. So kind of a journeyman.
We'll have to look it up.
We'll have to look it up. I love that for him. I'll take us right into our. I love to see that.
So this is, it's an interesting sort of thing here. Fanatics and MLB have kind of teamed up to create this like golden cap award, whatever. And honestly, I heard about it coming into the season as well, so I thought it was more of a thing than it actually, I guess it's turning out to be. But the first fan to, be shown on camera catching a home run with their hat, as one does at a baseball game.
Naturally.
They win a bunch of money or whatever. So, Jackson Merrill hit that like 388 feet. So bro got like $3,888. But I think that they're like, all right, that's it. Congratulate. Like this should be a thing the whole year. I think like that should be.
Catching a ball in the hat is tough, and it keeps you from having to bring a silly glove to a baseball stadium.
Yeah, and that's a whole debate in itself.
I'm personally against grown men bringing their baseball glove. I don't want to be seen walking around with, I got my jersey on and my baseball glove. It's not my thing. I'm just going to take it like a man and break my hand if I have to catch a home run.
One of the coolest things, just a quick personal story talking about catching home runs. One of the coolest things I ever did in my entire life was, it was 2014. My aunt got me tickets we went 2014. It was Derek Jeter's last year. My birthday's in September. So she got me tickets for my birthday. We went to Yankee Stadium and we got this it was like one of the Yankees' like second or third last series of the year. So like we were there for Jeter's farewell tour. It was glorious. But what I'm specifically talking about, they were playing the Orioles, and we got there early, because I wanted to get there early. And the Orioles were taking BP. I don't know if you remember Ryan Flaherty.
Oh yeah,
sure. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So Ryan Flaherty, kind of a journeyman kind of guy. He kind of stuck with the Orioles for a second there in the mid 2010s, and. So we were sitting in right field. We were sitting like not quite in the short porch, a little bit further back, and the second deck was above us. So all the home run balls into the short porch were like a couple rows in front of us, and all the home run balls that were high enough were landing in the upper deck. So I looked at my aunt and my uncle, and I was like, I am going to come back with a home run ball, or I am not going to come back at all. Those are my exact words. I was 14 years old. And then so I took a couple steps out to my right. I'm near the Yankees bullpen in right center now. I swear I am not playing this story up. The first, I get there, I set my feet. The first pitch that is thrown to Ryan Flaherty, he hits it in the air towards right center. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think that's coming right towards me. And it was Yankees texting gloves night. And we were one of the first 14,000 guests in attendance. So I had my Yankees texting gloves on. And I swear in my head, I'm like, yeah, that's coming right at me. I did not have to move my feet. I swear, I got there, I planted, pitch, hit, it just came. I caught it right here.
Excellent. Great hands.
And then I held it up to the crowd, and everybody cheered for me.
And then you gave it to like a little kid, right?
No, I was a little kid. I was 14. I was like, this is mine. I earned this.
That is the beautiful part about being still kind of on the younger side. You have to give it to a kid. First of all, there's been way too much of a trend lately of giving balls to kids. You don't have to give the ball to a kid. Like, it's not written anywhere. Sure, it's a nice thing, but I'm seeing it, like, if there's a kid right next to you, sure, fine. I've seen guys go rows up. You don't got to do all that.
That's sure.
You don't.
Okay.
Keep the ball to yourself. It's
That's
okay.
fair.
Tell your friends. Show them, hold it in your beer cup. I caught a ball. Great job. You don't got to give it to no little kid, man.
That's funny. Let's stop that. Let's stop all that.
Stop joy. No more joy to little kids. Well, this was my I love that moment. Ken Griffey Jr. doing his thing, taking some pics at the Masters. God, he had a sweet swing. He's taking sweet pics of more sweet swings down there.
I don't know he was doing all that. We were talking about it in teams, and I kind of said the MLB Hall of Famer to professional photographer pipeline is strong.
Yeah, it's like him and Randy Johnson.
It's him and Randy Johnson.
I want to say there's another one in there. But
those are the two that I can
I
think
don't
of,
know.
but-
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Johnson famously did it. I had no idea that Ken Griffey Jr. was doing it.
Yeah, no. And they're pretty good. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen it. They're pretty good. I'd imagine he can afford a good lens. Look at that lens. That thing's
Enormous.
It's like a 33-inch lens, just like his bat.
Yeah.
He's probably actually swinging a lot bigger than 33. I was swinging at 33.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And I'm this tall. Well, that's all the time I got for you, Dan. Remind me later. I have a good Yankees story too, but I'll tell you. Maybe I'll bring it up on the pod next time.
Yeah.
We're just out of time today. Thank you guys for tuning in. The Beast Texas Breakdown Podcast. We'll see you next week. Dan will probably be here.
I'll probably be here.